So actually, we're going to be celebrating Puja, or this is J.P.S.Tuesday. We're beginning in the evening, regularly office service to come. But now, because he had finished the 1 hours, so we're making a small celebration now. We already offered the Mahaprasad from the trees. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Iti Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaura Katha Dhamodaya Nagar Grama Tarine Esha Pushpanjali Jai J.P.S.Tuesday Puja Mahamotsav ki Jai Jai J.P.S.Tuesday ki Jai. Jaya Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama Jai Necter Jaya Pataka Swami Jaya Pataka JAYA PATAKA Jaya. So we're going to start the Vyasa Puja celebration. It is a very auspicious day, and it's also more auspicious Ekadashi, and plus it's auspicious day because our beloved spiritual master J.P.S.Tuesday. And in these regards, now Gopuraj Prabhu is going to speak something about Guru, and also some Guru Tattva, and he's going to speak for 20 minutes. Then after that, if any disciples wants to speak, you can give your name. Maybe Gopinath will have a paper. You can give your name to him, and they will call you, and you can speak for 5 minutes, because the time is only like half an hour to 40 minutes for speaking. So after that there will be, there will be offering, there will be Pushpanjali, then there will be Arati, and then there will be Prasad. And also, after Gopuraj Prabhu speaks, we'll have some Prabhupada disciples. They will also speak for 3 minutes, glorifying our spiritual master. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yanha Haite Krishna Bhakti Sri Guru Hai. One who awakens devotion to Krishna is certainly a spiritual master. So, an apt beginning to understand, hear a little bit about our very dear spiritual master, Guru-maharaj, His Holiness JAYA PATAKA SWAMI. So instead of me just going here and there, I'm going to read just a few excerpts about the glories of Srila Charyapada and from his biography, and we can get a brief idea of his personality. Srila Prabhupada one day called Jaya Pataka and asked him if he would take sannyas, and in response he said, "Yes, Prabhupada, whatever you like." Thus, on the day of the most auspicious Radhastami in 1970 in Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada personally performed the fire yajna, and Jaya Pataka got his sannyas initiation. This 12th sannyasi disciple of Srila Prabhupada would be henceforth known as Tridandi Bhikshu Jaya Pataka Swami. Arriving in Mayapur and eternal service to the Holy Dham when Iskcon got land in Mayapur, His Holiness Jaya Pataka Swami went there on the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. When he first arrived in Mayapur, understanding that he was in the Holy Land, he offered his obeisances and then dipped his head into the cool Ganges mud to get the blessings. Recollecting how Akura, when he entered Vrindavan, saw the lotus footprints of Krishna in the holy mud of Vrindavan. There were 5 other devotees with His Holiness Jaya Pataka Swami Maharaj in Mayapur. As funds were short, His Holiness Jaya Pataka Swami Maharaj began engaging in agriculture. He studied several books and learned different methods and got the best crop. Local farmers were surprised and wanted to learn from him. This helped build a lasting relationship with the local people. Maharaj taught them of modern techniques of agriculture, and the farmers taught him Bengali. He began to give classes in Bengali, where his few listeners would correct him in his language, and soon he began to perfect his knowledge of the language. Jaya Pataka Maharaj had wanted to learn even in 1968 when he was in the West, but it did not seem necessary there. His desire was fulfilled automatically when he was sent down to Bengal by Srila Prabhupada. Life in Mayapur in the initial days was very austere and full of different types of dangers. Devotees would sleep on the floor of a grass hut, since they were living on their own crop. They would have to eat the same vegetable for 3 months. Once when Srila Prabhupada was there, a large cobra was found in his toilet. Prabhupada called out to Jaya Pataka Maharaj, and he quickly managed to save Prabhupada. Eventually they got a 3-room warehouse built by the main gate. So there's more in the biography, but I'm going to just read a little bit from the spiritual master and disciple about the Guru. The spiritual master is very dear to Krishna because he is prepared to go anywhere and to render the confidential service of preaching Krishna consciousness. This is from The Science of Self-Realization by Srila Prabhupada. The spiritual master is kind in that he begs from door to door, country to country, town to town. My dear ladies and gentlemen, my dear boys and girls, please take to Krishna consciousness. In this way, he renders very confidential service to Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord who gives the orders, and the spiritual master executes those orders. Therefore, the spiritual master is very dear to Krishna. Whether Krishna sends him to heaven or to hell makes no difference to him. For the spiritual master, a pure devotee, heaven and hell are both the same if there is no Krishna consciousness. In hell, people are suffering in so many ways. And in heaven, they are enjoying their senses in so many ways. But a devotee of the Lord can live any place where there is Krishna consciousness. And since he brings this consciousness with him, he is always self-satisfied. If he is sent to hell, he will be satisfied simply chanting Hare Krishna. In fact, he does not believe in hell, but in Krishna. Similarly, if he were put in heaven, where there are so many opportunities for sense gratification, he would remain aloof, for his senses are satisfied by Krishna himself. Thus, for the service of the Lord, a devotee is prepared to go anywhere, and for this reason, he is very dear to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev ki jai. One more shloka here. This is from the 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Guru nasa syat svajano nasa syat pita nasa syat jnanina nasa syat daivam natatsyan napatischa sasyan namochayedya samupapeta mrityum. Translation: one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. Purport: there are many spiritual masters, but Rishabhadev advises that one should not become a spiritual master if he is unable to save his disciple from the path of birth and death. Unless one is a pure devotee of Krishna, he cannot save himself from the path of repeated birth and death. One can stop birth and death only by returning home, back to Godhead. However, who can go back to Godhead unless he understands the Supreme Lord in truth? Jnana karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvata. We have many instances in history illustrating Rishabhadev's instructions. Sukracharya was rejected by Bali Maharaj due to his inability to save Bali Maharaj from the path of repeated birth and death. Sukracharya was not a pure devotee. He was more or less inclined to fruitive activities, and he objected when Bali Maharaj promised to give everything to Lord Vishnu. Ordinarily, a spiritual master, husband, father, mother, or superior relative accepts worship from an inferior relative. But here, Rishabhadev forbids this. First, the father spiritual master or husband must be able to release the dependent from repeated birth and death. If he cannot do this, he plunges himself into the ocean of reproachment for his unlawful activities. Everyone should be very responsible and take charge of his dependents, just as a spiritual master takes charge of his disciples, or a father takes charge of his son. All these responsibilities cannot be discharged honestly unless one can save the dependent from repeated birth and death. So this is a very strong order coming from Srimad Bhagavatam, but nonetheless, we can't avoid it. I have a responsibility. We all have some responsibility. So just imagine the responsibility that His Grace Srila Charyapada has taken upon his shoulders. Thousands of disciples. And his aim is solely one thing, to deliver them back to Krishna. So he takes this order very seriously. One other thing here I wanted to just share. A little bit from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Being humbler even than a blade of grass. The holy command of Sri Guru has been that we shall serve Godhead in association with one another. By the word we, he did not mean any one individual. There are many persons who are very selfish indeed. They say, I alone shall serve. It is incumbent on me alone. No one else has any claim to join me in my service to Godhead. But the kind heart of Sri Gurudev says, come, let us jointly worship Godhead by giving up malice. The service of Godhead is the highest of all functions. My Gurudev does not say that others will be unable to do the work because it happens to be the highest. Neither does he say that he will not allow any other person to serve Godhead on the ground that it is the highest of all functions. The chant of Harinam that is performed jointly by all persons is Sankirtan. That kirtan, which is performed by many jointly, is alone Sankirtan. Prayer, praising Godhead, is included in Sankirtan. So listening to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, we can get great benefit on the simplicity of Krishna consciousness and the complexity. Because by nature, we have this tendency to say that I am the one, I am the doer, I am the controller. And so we drag that in to our devotional life. Only I can really serve Guru-maharaj. I am actually the best pujari that ever landed on this planet. I am the greatest singer that you've ever heard. Do kirtan. You want to see me play mridanga? I am the best. Whatever it is, that innate tendency is there. Even if we try not to admit it, even if we don't bring it, it's there. So that is what we have to wash away. And how do we wash it away? By the joint effort. If somebody wants to play mridanga, give them the mridanga, if they can play. If somebody wants to lead the kirtan rather than you, have to let them lead the kirtan. If whatever it is someone is asking your permission to do, allow them to do it. This is a joint effort. Not that I am the only one that can do it. So this has been throughout the years I've known Guru-maharaj. This is his attitude, his commitment, to engage everyone in some service. And all of that service is aimed at simply bringing us back home, back to Godhead. Srila Charyapada ki jai. So, in order to conserve some time, just before Balabhadra Prabhu comes up, I will go ahead and read my short offering to Guru Maharaj. It's very brief, and we'll continue the program. Namo Vishnu Krishna Saya By precept and example in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan, your exemplary demeanor does forever expand. Presented with the key by his divine grace, you open the treasure of Mahaprabhu's place, distributing to all in diversity that most rare thing, bhakti of devotion, Krishna's love unwavering. One bright moon amongst thousands of stars, obliterating darkness both near and far. This illusory world is strong. I am insignificant and weak. I beg to always remain in the sheltering dust of your feet. Jaya Pataka Swami.
I could actually write a book about my experiences with His Holiness Jaya Pataka Maharaj. I believe my devotee is actually writing a book right now about him, but specifically about the instructions that I received from him. First met him in 1976 in Mayapur, along with Baladina Prabhu. And then the next time I saw him was in Atlanta. He came to Atlanta in 1980 or 81. I can't remember exactly, 80 or 81. And from that time, I've been very fortunate to have his association and training. And I say that because as a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, I didn't have the great fortune of serving Prabhupada a lot directly. A few times I had the opportunity to serve in Delhi and Modinagar, Aligarh, places like that, Atlanta. So when Prabhupada passed away in 1977, my personal realization was that I didn't get to serve Prabhupada directly a lot, so I'm going to serve my godbrothers who have taken on the responsibility to preach and to initiate around the world. And a lot of my focus was on His Holiness Jaya Pataka Maharaj and serving him. And one particular aspect of him that I'll speak about, and then I have a request at the end. And that aspect is his friendliness, his loving, friendly attitude. And I was looking at Parampara a few moments ago, remembering how Jaya Pataka Maharaj always liked to wrestle with him. Whenever he was sitting down, he would wait for Parampara to come and grab his hand, and then he's so big. And Prabhupada would have to struggle to pull him up. His great joy was to be pulled up by Prabhupada. So he told me once, he said, Krishna will give you many tests, many tests. Be prepared. At that point, he had already been attacked in Spain. Some of you may remember he was attacked, but he almost passed away at that time. So he was meditating. Krishna will give you many tests. Then he said, but he will give you one big test and no more tests. So I'm meditating on how is it that Jaya Pataka Maharaj has been put into this situation that he's in. And my realization is that Krishna knew or knows that he's the one devotee that can handle that much suffering and still be friendly, loving, caring, giving instructions, encouraging everyone, like he's always done. So we should give back to him, especially here in Atlanta. He's given service to this temple since 1980 or 81, trying to help all of us. One last thought. They were criticizing him once, that he stays up too late at night. He doesn't go to sleep. He should take rest. And Jaya Pataka Maharaj told me, I would rather preach than sleep. If a devotee came to him at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, he would stay and try to help them. And even some of those who criticized him would keep him up to 2 in the morning, asking things. So I want to pray for him in the way that we, meaning Srila Prabhupada disciples, Nardi, you probably remember this, and Prabhupada, I don't know if he had come on 13th Street at that point. But Srila Prabhupada was very sick at one point in 1974. I believe he might have been in New York, somewhere. So we received a letter from the GBC saying that all temples every morning after Mangalarti should offer one prayer. So I'm sure you've heard this prayer before. We're going to say this prayer. I'll say it and you repeat. And this prayer was said for Prabhupada to restore his health and to protect him. So please repeat after me. My dear Lord Krishna,
My dear Lord Krishna,
if you so desire, please protect and restore the health of His Holiness, Jaya Pataka Maharaj. Jaya Pataka Maharaj ki jai.
And I just want to turn it over to the disciples. Hare Krishna.
After Prabhupada, there was a Guru, only 11 Guru. So, 11 Guru between the Guru-maharaj JAYA PATAKA SWAMI. So, I used to be in Mayapur, Guru-maharaj serving, and I never saw he is so much angry. One day happened in the room. Hiranyagarbha Prabhu, he used to be Gurukul teacher, and he left Prabhupada, so he joined, become Babaji. Something happened anyway. So he wants to come inside the Mayapur boundary, and he heard him, and he got so mad. So mad, you left Prabhupada, you coming inside, you don't come at all. He was very, very mad. I was very scared that time. He was so mad. Anyway, because of Guru Maharaj, I am here in Iskcon. What happened when Raghav Pandit Prabhu, he was at that time Prabhuji, now he is Sannyas. He was my Bhakta leader. And by that time, actually my mother used to come Navadvip, Vishwanagar, we have a family. So I used to come with her. Because of her, I came to Iskcon. Anyway, after that, after few months, something, and then she came with her brother and other 8 people to take me home. And somehow or other, Raghav Pandit Maharaj, he kept me in one room. Anyway, so he didn't let me take me home, but he came back to my family to see them, and somehow that they gone. My mother was crying. After that, my mother died. We had some activity for Shraddha, so I had to go home, and then I asked Guru Maharaj that I have to go to home to take care of my mother. And Guru Maharaj knows that if I go, I'm not going to come back. Because all these people came. So he told me, you don't have to go home. We'll do everything over here. So he did everything. He gave a big feast for all the Vaishnava. And he told me, offer Radha Madhav separate plate for her meal. And so this is the one. Another one happened when I came in Atlanta. I have a little bit problem, so I talked to Guru Maharaj. Then after a few days, Bhagavad Guru came. He gave me one audio cassette. He told me, your Guru Maharaj gave you to listen to this. And that cassette, audio cassette, is telling Prabhupada is in one room, and all his senior disciples was there, and Prabhupada was telling them, tell to Jaya Pataka, give initiation behalf of me. The one person in New York, As soon as he said, all other his disciple was, Prabhupada, he is not here, he is in preaching. And they start to make all kind of arguments anyway. So then Prabhupada said, just listen to me, what I say. Tell to Jaya Pataka, give initiation beyond of me. Prabhupada was present. How much Prabhupada is to love to Guru-maharaj. And many other things, I make it short. And I was so attracted. And Guru-maharaj, I have seen, he has been a Saheb. In India, Bengali, we call Saheb. White skin. So I have seen he go, when it's a big flooded, and Guru must take the, dhoti out completely and go in the mud, in the water, go all the poor people, give khichdi, distribute. I was so attracted. My God, this sannyasi, this sadhu and sahib, we should think that kind of sahib. So by that way, I attracted. Anyway, so I this short time.
Haribo. Hare Krishna. Now I would like to call Ekashakti Mataji to speak few words. So after that, Mukunda Guru is good.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So nice to see all of you. I usually don't like to speak, but Guru Maharaj ordered all of us to speak and acknowledge, him. So I'm still working on that. Something that I'm truly understanding is that we as a Hare Krishna devotees, we are trying to be, or I'm trying to be the best human being I can be. And it's so hard because Guru Maharaj is the best. So it is very overwhelming. And so it's a work in progress. Every day, I'm so tired. I don't want to pray. Anyway, every day I try to work a little bit to be better. And every day there's so much issues. My life is really good, but I think his blessings on me is to understand that nothing good is really good. So his blessing is to keep hanging on his feet and on Krishna's feet. So that's one of my latest realizations. He's really the only way. He usually, when I have some issue or some problems, he really manifests in some way. Usually Krishna and I, Guru Krishna is the same. That's my second realization I'm having. He is really Krishna representative. Is that he plays with me. Krishna, Guru Maharaj has such great sense of humor, like extreme sense of humor, and they make me laugh. And we play, like even when I'm driving, I see a tag, and I'm like, he's telling me something that is actually happening. So Krishna really, Guru Maharaj really communicates through everything, through people, through publicity, branding, anything. So we are really not alone, and that's something that I'm understanding. And it's all his blessings. And I just have to say, I'm so proud to be here. I'm so honored to be around all of you and trying to be a devotee. Hare Krishna. Jai
And one time he was actually crying. And at that time I was disturbed. And I asked Guru, I said, Guru, why are you crying about Puja speaking? Said he told me that I could not finish my work. The Prabhupada gave me, I couldn't finish it. So I want all of you disciples to help me. I can see sometimes the disciples, it's not a emotional, but actually it's the feeling of the disciples for their Guru, and even if they have done something wrong while following the Guru's instructions, so they are feeling that. So now actually we're also going to have an offering, so maybe devotees can move a little bit.
Jaya Pataka Swami Namo Acharya Padaya Mukaya Jaya Guru-maharaj This is the most wonderful day that our beloved spiritual master appears in the material world, just to deliver the conditions of that meeting. In his pranam mantra, very clearly explained, the Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Padayane Gaurapatha Dhamadaya Navarat Ramataya. When we see from the scripture, Chaitanya, when Jagannath attracts Nityananda Prabhu. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that time was a special mood of like a Vishnu. He sent a Sudarshan Chakra to kill Jagannath. But Nityananda Prabhu reminds why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in this material world. So he protects. So Lord, we can see Guru-maharaj's mood like Lord Nityananda. Even in his health crisis, we have seen he traveled around the world, take a risk, so much risk of his health. But he didn't think about it, he never compared. He never compared that he has pain, he has a trouble. He always keep Krishna consciousness, uplift the conditions of wherever he goes. And recently, when I was in Mahaprabhu, he always greets Siddha Mahaprabhu because it says, it's like when Gurudev worked in certain place, like Srila Prabhupada says, Bombay is my office, Mahaprabhu my worship place, and Vrindavan is my home. And Guru Maharaj says, I don't have office, home, everything in my office. And once Srila Prabhupada mentioned that I gave to Siddha Mahaprabhu the spiritual world, the kingdom of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, to Jaya Pataka Swami, to develop it. And we have seen from the very beginning, when I joined in 78, we have nothing practical. We have only 2 buildings. By his extra efforts and blessings of Srila Prabhupada and previous acharyas, he is able to do it. And once I asked him after his stroke, right here in Atlanta, the Guru-maharaj is okay. He looked at me. He looked at others and smiled. He said, Mukunda says, am I okay? He says, my body is paralyzed, not my mind. We have to think about it. He is living with his mind how much love he has for Srila Prabhupada. And recently Mahaprabhu gave the story that how when Guru-maharaj was ICU, and he says, he saw the glowing like a golden objections. Wherever he sees, everything like a gold. And he says that I have seen that some of the devotees asking, Jaya Pataka Swami, Jaya Pataka, please come. And Guru Maharaj says, I cannot, because I am not complete the Srila Prabhupada's mission. What Srila Prabhupada told me to do it. So therefore we see that Guru Maharaj always have so much love for Srila Prabhupada, and we should learn how to love spiritual master and follow his instruction. By following his instruction, by following his footsteps, one can succeed and go back to Krishna in one lifetime. Thank you very much.
Gopinath Prabhu is here. Gopinath Prabhu. Can I like to call on Gopinath Prabhu to speak few words? Guru-maharaj.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Ati Namane Namo Tarthi Padaya Nitai Kripa Padaya Guru Pata Dhamudaya Program Utayane. I'm so fortunate that I took initiation from Jaya Pataka Swami Acharya. That time we called him Jaya Pataka Swami Acharya in 1984. When I first saw him in the airport, Kolkata airport, as soon as he saw me, he gave me his garden. From that time I'm so grateful with him, like I got blessing. So many stories I can remember, but we have short time. Just telling one past times of Srila Jaya Pataka Swami Acharya. When he was preaching, we have after Prabhupada left, we have temple opening in Assam, Silchar. So me, Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, Gaura-Nitai Prabhu, we in the temple and Srila Jaya Pataka Swami Acharya came to inaugurate the deity, Radha Damodar and Jagannath Baladev. And that time when he came, about, I don't know how many thousands, maybe 25,000 people gathered to see Jaya Pataka Swami Acharya. And he chanting, dancing, everybody would stand up and chanting with the Gaur Hori, Gaur Hori, Gauranga. And then next day, people are so appreciated and people are so inspired. Next day they donate another land in nearby city, Assam in Kodimba. And that time Srila Jaya Pataka Swami was with all the devotees, Russian devotees, American devotees, all of us, we went to that land and inaugurate that land and doing the Bhumi Puja. And then Jaya Pataka Swami with us, all of them, we went there. On the way, there is a train line. And then crossing, then train line, when India is not much big that time, that was in 1990. And then all the buses, we all party, Sankirtan party, all the devotees are in the crossing on the rail line, rail cross, and we are waiting there. And then many buses, many people also gathered over there. And then it's takes about 30 minutes. And then Guru-maharaj, all of a sudden, he came out from the car and he said, okay, let's do Kirtan. We not understand doing Kirtan. As soon as you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, all the devotees and village people, they all come out. We have no announcement, nothing. There is about thousands of people came out and with chanting and dancing. So that time I remember the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went to the South Indian Jharkhand, all the tigers, all the animals, they are all chanting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that I thought like so Jaya Pataka Swami Acharya, he also Prabhupada told like he born in India in previous birth. So he is also like by his activity we can know that he also born in India. That's true. That he pleased the Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. जय श्रील जय पताका स्वामी आचार्य बाप की जय। व्यास पूजा महामहोत्सव की जय। गौरवानंदे
हरि
Jaya Pataka Swami Tinamane Nama Charpadaya Nita Kripa Pradaya Gorakatadaya Govardhan Leela asked me to read Mahaguna's offering. So I would like to do that first. If I can get this open. Yes. Okay. So this is from Mahaguna to Guru-maharaj. My dear Guru-maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to your divine grace. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It gives me great honor to be able to have this opportunity to glorify you on the most blessed event of Sri Sri Vyasa Puja. You are a living example of what a surrendered devotee should be. No matter what adversities you are facing, you continue to glorify the Supreme Lord by following the instructions of your dear spiritual father, His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I have said this so many times, and I will continue to say that I am so blessed to be able to take shelter of your lotus feet and have the opportunity of doing some menial service to help in your mission to spread the message of Sri Sri Gauranga. On this auspicious day, I pray to the Supreme Lord to give me the strength to continue to serve your divine grace eternally. I pray to the Supreme Lord to give you all the health and strength so you can help us, guide us through in your devotional service. By your personal example, you are showing to your disciples never to give up on spiritual life, no matter what this material life throws at you. It is unbelievable how much you are willing to personally endure any struggle, but continue in your goal of helping your spiritual master spread the glories of the holy name to everyone and anyone who has one moment of association with your divine grace. By your personal example, you are showing us what it means to be a humble, menial servant of Guru and Gauranga. I sincerely pray to the Supreme Lord Nishringadev to give you the strength to be there to guide us for many, many more years to come. Guru Maharaj, thank you so much for never giving up on this fallen, conditioned soul and all your disciples who are dependent on your blessings and mercy. I feel so blessed that you are so kind upon this useless soul and giving me the opportunity to be a better person, devotee, and a servant at your lotus feet always. All glories unto your divine grace on this most auspicious and blessed day of your divine appearance. Your eternal servant, Mahaguna Devidasi. Now, as for me, I'm hearing some other people talk about, when they met Guru Maharaj and how merciful he is. Well, I'll tell you how merciful Guru Maharaj is. I met Guru Maharaj in 1988 in this temple room. A lot of you people don't know that I came to this temple first in 1987. I didn't get serious about Krishna consciousness until 2009. But in 1988, I sat right over there as Guru Maharaj was here with Nanda Sutta Prabhu, fanning him, and told him I would like to be an aspiring devotee. I was sitting with a Cheap Trick rock concert t-shirt on. I've got a picture of me. On the back of it is a cocktail waitress with an alcoholic tray of drinks. And here I am saying, yeah, I'd like to be your disciple someday. And then I promptly disappeared for about 21 years. And I never had any contact with Guru Maharaj. And I had very little contact with the temple. I would come every now and again. And then in 2009, when I realized that, life wasn't everything that I thought it could be, and I really was happy when I was spending time at the temple, I started coming back and I got serious, and Guru Maharaj happened in 2010 of that year. He had his Vyasa Puja here. He was in the guest house. And I wrote a letter asking for a second chance. And I was scared to death. I mean, who am I? Here 20 years ago, I said, yeah, I want to be an aspiring service. Then I go off for 20 years of drinking and drugs and everything that, we're not supposed to do. I was still vegetarian, at least. That's something, right? But, and I went up and I gave him the letter. And I'll never forget, I was shaking so much that I let go too soon. And he dropped it. And so I had to pick it up and I gave it to him again. And then I went back and I'm talking to my friend Poonam and Siddhapriya Devidasi. And I said, okay, I did it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I did it. And so we're talking, and I look over, and there were so many people lined up, and they're coming to see Guru Maharaj, and everyone's giving offering letters or donations or whatever, and he's like taking them, putting them on a tray, giving blessings. And I happen to look, and he's holding a letter in his hand. as these other people are coming, and he's taking their letter and he's blessing, and I looked at Poonam, and I said, Poonam, is that my letter he's reading? And she said, I think it is. And the next thing I know, Guru-maharaj looks at me and he goes, my heart started pounding so hard. And I'm on my knees in front of him, and he keeps going like this, closer, closer. And there were still people coming and giving, obeisances to him. I finally I'm like this close from Guru Maharaj, and the first thing he says to me, 20 years after I last spoke to him, so how you doing? And I couldn't think of anything to say. I basically repeated what was in the letter because that's all that was going through my head. And he told me, he asked me, are you following the regulative principles? I said, yes. He said, since when? I said, December 1st. It was now April. He said, okay. He said, you can take shelter at the Panihati festival. So how merciful is Guru Maharaj to take a rascal like me, who totally ignored him for 20 plus years, who somehow got the courage to ask for a second chance, and he gave it to me and saved me. So I am forever grateful for his immense mercy. And I just pray these days that he's given me more than I could ever hope for. All I ask now is that he focus on getting well. Just take that energy. I know we're all sending our love and our prayers. He's given it to me. Just get well, Guru Maharaj. That's all I pray. Thank you very much.
J.P.S. Maharaj. When I first met J.P.S. Maharaj, I was standing at the door, just like Chitra behind the gate, and you walked into that door, and I was dumbfounded. Never before in my life have I met an individual that made such a big impression on me. I was shocked. There was a white-bodied, huge man, all in orange, and exuding such spirituality. Never have I ever seen such a person before. And then I decided at that moment, if I was ever going to ask some guru of Iskcon for shelter, it was going to be J.P.S. Maharaj. And fortunately for me, he accepted me as he gave me a shelter 1 year, and the next year he gave me the first initiation. And for that I'm eternally grateful, because it had made such profound changes not only in my life, but in my family's life as well. It's transformed us completely. Sometimes when I look back and reflect at my life, when I first came to America, I had a plan A, plan B, and plan C. I was going to acquire wealth, I was going to drive the best SUV, I was going to live in the best home. And when I met Guru Maharaj and he gave me shelter and initiation, all that went away. It didn't matter anymore. Becoming rich, having a big puffed up ego, that didn't matter to me anymore. Now when I look at people and walk in the street and I see, oh my God, I was one of them, I was that. And look at me now where I am. It makes no difference to me. All I want to do is serve my Guru Maharaj and serve Radha Madan Mohan. That's all. And I just want to share with you a very nice story. Maybe you are aware of this, but Guru Maharaj, if you are around in his proximity, he can pick your mind, he can read your mind. So one day we were at the airport, and he was going away to another country, I can't remember which one. And I was thinking in my mind, oh, there's so many devotees here. I hope Guru Maharaj gives me his garland. It's such a beautiful garland. I'll be so blessed if he gives me the garland. Then I thought in my mind, nah, why would he give it to me when there's so many other senior devotees here? And guess what? When it announced for him to go, he called me, and he put the garland on my head. I think OMG. Unbelievable. Okay? So that was one wonderful incident that I had with Guru Maharaj. And today I'm here to request and humbly appeal to you that I know all of you do Tulsi Puja in the morning. So I know I'm a junior devotee, not for me to ask you, or I'm asking you, requesting you, please, if you could please, in the morning, when you're doing your Tulsi Puja, please offer 4 rounds to Guru Maharaj's health and welfare, so that he may become better. Please do that. And I'm sure, with all our praise and blessings, he'll regain his health again. Thank you very much. If I've offended any of you, please do forgive me. Hare Krishna.
Honor is His Holiness Jaya Pataka Maharaj. And I think when was the first time I met Maharaj? I don't think I can remember. It seems like I always knew him. I really don't remember where I met him. But everywhere I was, he was there. He was there in Chicago, when I was in Chicago. He was in Hong Kong, when I was in Hong Kong. He was in Bhubaneswar, when I was in Bhubaneswar. He was here, when I came here. It seems like I've always, wherever I was, I always had Maharaj's there. I remember in Hong Kong, he was staying in Mayapur most of the time and not leaving. And then at one point he decided that he would travel around. And Maharaj was the first person to understand how to use computers. Nobody knew how to use computers, but he was going to learn how because he knew that he could use computers for preaching. And he was totally into understanding how to use the computer for preaching. He immediately knew he could talk to people all over the world. And we weren't even understanding that, but he knew it. And he would come to Hong Kong, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was like the most expert person you've ever seen for setting up a new temple. Maharaj could come to a place where there was no devotees, no temple, and in 6 months he'd have a whole temple room filled with devotees. He just knew the formula. But one of his styles was that he was a little strict with people, and he was stern, and he controlled people by being a little unapproachable to some degree. Not really, but you're kind of a little afraid of him. So Jaya Pataka Maharaj was more like Vishnu-jan. Easy to approach, always full of nectar, always very sweet, always loving type of person. And when he would come to Hong Kong, all the devotees would love that Maharaj would come. Because he would all come and he would talk Chaitanya Bhagavad, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And all the devotees loved to see him. So he started traveling at that time. So he would come to Hong Kong a lot, and he could fly all over the world. So we started seeing him a lot, and one devotee who was doing the painting business, Ram Sharan, used to give him money. And then Tamal Krishna at one point he said, Ram Sharan, don't give Maharaj so much money. Because he said that because he's not supposed to be traveling around so much. He's supposed to be sitting in Mayapur. Prabhupada wants him in Mayapur. So then when he would come, the one devotee, some of his people who had taken first initiation from Maharaj, they wanted to take second initiation from Jaya Pataka Maharaj. So they would approach Goswami and they'd say, Maharaj, we have first initiation from you, but we'd like to take second initiation from Jaya Pataka Maharaj. Because they thought he was more easy or sweet, more. So then Maharaj told Guru-maharaj, we have to not ask Maharaj not to come so much. So, when we were in Bhubaneswar, he came and visited us. The temple hadn't been built. Guru-Govinda Maharaj was living in a hut in the front of the building, front of the property. And there was just like termite hills all over the place. I was there with Tejas and Vedaguya and Swaha and Madira. And then Jaya Pataka Maharaj showed up, and then we had a feast. Basically, there wasn't even prasad. I would say, Tejas, there's no prasad. And Tejas would say, don't bother me with so many material problems. So then I would go down to Guru-Govinda Maharaj and say, Guru-Govinda Maharaj, there's no prasad. And he said, oh, you would take prasad. And then what he was having, it was Ekadasi. Soaked Ekadasi, no spice, nothing, just soaked ekadasi, means soaked savadana, like you soak it in a glass, and some type of gourd, the vine, not even the gourd, just the vine, and made a curry to it. And that was what we were supposed to eat. Like, I'm looking at it, I can't believe this. Gotta eat. But with Jaya Pataka Maharaj would come, we'd have a feast. So when Maharaj would come, we'd have a feast, and we'd have like all this feast. And in those days, they had just started to introduce this protein gluten, to India. It's like these chewy soybean type of, it would taste like paneer. So we were cooking it for Maharaj, and it was very different. I had it because I had been in China. It was very different, and then Guru-maharaj Maharaj was eating it, and then Jaya Pataka Maharaj said, "So, Guru-maharaj, how do you like that?" He said, "Oh, I think it tastes very good." And then Guru-maharaj Maharaj says, "Because that's the taste of meat." He said, and Guru-maharaj has never eaten meat in his whole life, so he doesn't know the taste. But we all know what it tastes because we had all come from meat eaters. But Maharaj, I tell you, he's a very wonderful, wonderful, wonderful soul, and we are very happy to have had his association. And I want you all to please pray for him at his time of need. If he has his operation and is successful, I'm sure he will get a new life. He will get new energy. So you have to pray for him very hard that if he has this operation, that he can, because if it's successful, he will be with us a long time. I was seeing him last night on the Chennai Facebook Live, and he really needs our prayers. So I think that you all need to be praying very hard for Jaya Pataka Maharaj, because it's very hard for him. But he's staying here. Why is he staying here? He's staying here for you. Personally, he's a liberated soul. Doesn't matter if he comes or goes. As soon as he leaves, he's back with Lord Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya's Leela. He is not an ordinary person. But he's staying here for you. So you have to pray to Krishna to help Maharaj overcome this big test. So that's why I came tonight. I wanted to. This is the first night I've been able to get out and drive myself since I had this cataract operation. But I am surprised I actually drove myself here. With the help of Santosh. So anyway, you all, let's wish Maharaj a happy appearance day, and please pray for him. It would be nice if they do fire sacrifice for Maharaj, maybe for Nishinga's appearance. He needs all of everyone's prayers. Jai Hare Krishna.
Very glad we have taken shelter of your lotus feet. On this auspicious day, we like to pray to Lord Krishna that He gives you much strength to recover to the time of expected surgery. And we pray on daily days extra rounds for your good health. I recall how I met Guru-maharaj. Actually, we coming to this temple since 1986, and we did meet Guru-maharaj every Panihati and all the visits annually. But I remember 2003, we were traveling to Canada for Rath Yatra with Bhadra Prabhu and some other devotees, and I think Madan Prabhu was with us. And we had a chance to go with Guru-maharaj face to face on the boat, and I was having a bead on my neck, and he asked me, how many rounds do you chant? I said, right now I'm trying to chant 4 rounds on a regular basis. He says 4 rounds is enough. You should take a shelter and take initiation. And somehow, it took 10 years for me and my wife to realize that it's a time for us to accept the Guru-maharaj. It took 10 years but we decided to take initiation. Around the day we take initiation, it was Happy Festival. He was here in Atlanta, and due to his health and restricted diet, he did a special kind of dhokla, not made out of ready-made. He wants to soak chana dal and make it out of that. So, Government Lama Mataji approached 2 or 3 people coming to temple, but nobody could do it. So we finally she called my wife, and my Krishna mercy and Guru-maharaj desire before Mataji called. She already had preparation to make dhokla for Guru-maharaj, and the rest he wants. And we both come. And we decided today is the day we have to take initiation. And since then we are following his instructions. We are very clear that he is our Guru-maharaj.
Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padhamayam Dadatisha Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Shakrajatam Sahagana Raghunanitam Pam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Iti Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaura Katha Namodaya Nagar Grama Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatadesha Harine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Sri Varshavanavi Devi Daitaya Kripadhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurjala Premadha Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida Sri Gaura Aruna Shakti Vigrahaya भवसिद्धान्तहारिणे नमः गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भ असम्भोदे पदाम्बुजाये ते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्द नामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपनुगा परायते श्रीगौरा आविर्भाव उमेस्तं निर्दिष्ट सज्जनप्रिया वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथे नमः पंचकल्प स्वरूपाश्च कृपासिन्धु देव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः पंचतत्व आत्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तवतारं भक्त्याख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं नमो महावदन्नाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य गौरतिशे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जय पताका स्वामी इति नामिने नमो आचार्यपादाय निताय कृपा प्रदायिने गौरकथा नमोदाय नगर ग्राम तारिणे देश पुष्पांजलि So we have 2 more times. So don't give all the flowers, keep some flowers in your hand. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Iti Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakatha Samodaya Nagar Grama Tarine Desha Pushpanjali नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताका स्वामी इति नामिने नमो आचार्यपादाय निताय कृपाप्रदायिने गौरकथा नमोदाय नगरग्रामतारिणे देशपुष्पाञ्जलि जय जय पाद व्यास पूजा विभाग महामहोत्सव की शरदावा नरलिधलोका प्रणय श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्रपुरी धाम की जय। जय समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। इस्कॉन पनिहरि धाम की जय। जय ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। ट्रांसेंडेंटल प्रसाद डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। जय जय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to their assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Prabhupada ki jai. You can say no.
Everything, yeah. 3 minutes, no, you're not allowed to stay here further. Too much.
I don't need it.
Please come.